Boomer Sooner, everybody. My name's Harry James. It's time for the Sooners to get that bitter Ohio State taste out of their mouth. They've had a week to rest up, kind of feel a little better, get their juices flowing, get healthy, and now they'll face TCU. Your Sooner stumper is that obviously since 2000, Gary Patterson's been at TCU. Bob's been at OU a little longer, 1 year. But anyway, with saying that, since that time, TCU has had some pretty good teams that have come in here to Oklahoma and won. I need to know how many of those teams were unranked when that happened. TCU is again unranked this year. I'll give you a hint, guys. It's happened 3 times. I need to know what years they were. They were once in the Midwest in the MWC. That's the Mountain West Conference, and more recently twice, right here in this Big 12. Find out what years they were coming up next. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I got it for you. They've met 3 times since the teams were not ranked. TCU first was not ranked in 2005. They then entered the Big 12 play, and in 2012 and in 2013, both times were not ranked. Of course, got a little revenge in 2014 over that mark, and we'll get into that right now. Where from Floyd Casey Stadium, Oklahoma and TCU will play as we cross enemy lines, and that is that except for in 2008, where Oklahoma won in Norman 35-10, it's been a 1-score game within that barometer. Touchdown or field goal, or even last year a point after, all within that range. So there we go. As far as this year, it's going to be 78 and clear next weekend, coming up for Saturday. Of course, keep an eye out for storms and all that, because it is a little earlier in the week for that. Overall series 10-5 between OU and TCU. That is a 67% winning percentage for OU. Last time Oklahoma won, of course, this version of the rivalry, 2015, last year in Norman. Oklahoma won it by 1 point. Knocked it down. Stephen Parker knocked it down. The game 2014 in Fort Worth, Trevor Knight game, 37-33. TCU wins in Fort Worth. Before we get to the rest of it, here's my hat. I usually don't take it off, but it goes off tonight, big guy. To you, the aforementioned Mr. Trevor Knight. Over 300 total yards of offense. I believe 200 and something on the ground. Added a few more in the air, I'm sorry. A couple of 150 on the ground maybe. Pretty good night. 382 yards of total offense. 4 touchdowns. No turnovers for the transfer from Oklahoma to Texas A&M in the Arkansas A&M series. Way to go, young man. Proud of you. Saturday, October 1st on National Fox, 4 o'clock p.m., you'll see OU and TCU from Floyd Case. Joe Davis Brady Quinn, the former Notre Dame quarterback from 2003 to 2006. Those two will be on the call. On the sidelines, interviewing Gary Patterson and Bob Stoops, that will be Jenny Taft. Or you can listen, or that's the national broadcast, or you can listen to the OU broadcast. Pretty sure they don't mind it. Sooner Radio Network presents Toby Rowland, the voice of the Sooners, color analyst Merv Johnson, and sideline color and sideline analysts Chris Plank and Teddy Lehman from Sports Talk 1400, and from the sports franchise, OK 1077, 1079 in Tulsa, the former linebacker Rufus Alexander. Only for OU home games is this next part true, but it is the football remote pregame. The official OU tailgate is across the street from the McCaslin Fieldhouse. That gets rocking and rolling 2.5 hours before the game starts. Sports Top 1400 is at Balfour of Norman. WWLS, the sports animal, is there on Campus Corner, over there by O'Connell's. And 1077, the franchise, the corner of White and Asp on Campus Corner, over by Hertz Donuts. That's where I usually at. They've got cornhole out there. They got the Krispy Kreme. They got everything you need. They got if you're a drinker, like alcoholic beverage drinker, they do have like a little beer place out there too. So they usually have that set up for you. That's for the fans though. What about on the field? Here's what they put up on the field as far as Oklahoma is concerned. They put up 35.33 points per ball game for Oklahoma. That is 69th best in the country. And they yards per ball game is at 479.00. That is 45th best in the country. Now they take a bit of a dip here because of having to play Houston and Ohio State, two pretty good offensive teams. So these offensive numbers are going to be a bit skewed a little bit, but yards allowed per ball game, or points allowed per ball game, points allowed per ball game, 31.67. That is 171st in the country. Yards allowed per ball game, 401.00. That is 146th in the country. Their Oklahoma Sooners are led by their guy, Bob Stoops, who's in his 18th year at Oklahoma, with a winning percentage of 180-47. That is a .793 winning percentage. Last year went 11-2, 8-1 in conference play, losing only to Texas and Clemson, winning the Big 12 outright. Bowl record for Bob Stoops, 8-8. That's 500 conference or divisional titles in the Stoops era: 2000, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2010. Those are South Divisional championships. This is before the split. But what about just plain rings, plain championships? Here you go, guys. 2000, 2002, 2004, 2006, 07, 08, 2010, 2012, and then last year in 2015. What about 2016? Oklahoma off to a 1-2 start after losing a heartbreaker to Houston, 33-23, in a neutral site game to Houston at RNG Stadium in Houston. Bounced back with a 59-17 win over the University of Louisiana Monroe, but was brought back to earth 2 weeks ago, 45-24 to Ohio State in Norman. All right, what about TCU? How do they look as far as the on the field is concerned? Well, they look like this. Points per ball game, 42.75. That is 24th best in the nation. Yards per ball game, 476.00. That's 5th best in the nation. Points allowed per ball game, 26.25. That's 118th best in the nation. And yards allowed per ball game, that is at 384.75, 122nd in the nation. TCU is coached by Gary Patterson in his 15th year at TCU, not to include a 2000 bowl win for Patterson. He's a Kansas State man from 1980 to 1982, junior college kid in there. Played on those teams on 80 and 81. At TCU, he has a winning percentage of .852 with 148 wins to 48 losses. He's 9-5 in the bowl game scenarios. That's a 6-3 winning percentage. Last year went 11-2. Last year 7-2, tied with Oklahoma State in the conference rankings. Oklahoma State won the head-to-head 49-29 in Stillwater. Bowl conference championships in the Stoops era has won in 2002, 2005, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2014. As far as the 2016 set of TCU, they've played 4 games. San Diego State, Arkansas. They've already played a conference game in Iowa State, and they've been on the road up the road, not far from their home at SMU. They firstly took care of that San Diego State team 59-41 in a win. Bounced to 500 after losing to Arkansas 41-38 in overtime. Bounced back against Iowa State the next week, 40-21 win in Fort Worth, their first conference win this season. And then got back-to-back wins. Got this one on the road at SMU, 33-3. Now the Sooners and the Horned Frogs will face again. A tight, close ball game is what I'm expecting here. Should be fun. It always is close with these two rivals. So we'll see what happens. We'll be back for a post-game show next week. And Texas. We'll preview Texas. The Red River rivalry played at their state fair. We'll see what that game looks like. All that and more coming up for next week. As far as this week, guys, thanks for watching. And Boomer Sooner. Catch y'all on the flip side. I'm out of here.